You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be here with you. Thankful you're here with us. We're going to have a great show today. We have two guest hosts standing by this morning to come on, and we're grateful for Billy and Nick. So we don't only just have one of them on today, we have both of them on the same day. So it's more exciting for you folks out there, and I know that you always enjoy either one of them on, and today we have both. So we're going to have a great show as usual, but even better today. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM, as usual, every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. And we're also streaming at cklu.ca online. So make sure to click on the Radio Player Canada app if you want to stream us, and if you want to take us with you and listen to us on any device, anywhere, anytime, then you just download that same Radio Player Canada app and you can take us with you. Along with other programming from CKLU as well. You can listen to CKLU 24/7 because we're on the air 24/7. We've been around, the only campus and community radio station in Northeastern Ontario, been around since 1984 and still going, thanks to you. So make sure to, when you're on the page, just click the donate button, and whatever you can afford, whatever you feel CKLU is worth to you and keeping us in the community, or buying any of the merch that we have on our website. It's able to keep the lights on and the airwaves open. Thank you so much. And if you're not able to contribute financially, but you want to contribute in another way, you can actually host your own show. You can, if you know something about computers, you can lend your skills and your talents to helping out with different computers or hardware, or if you know anything about radio equipment, whatever you know that applies to the radio station, we welcome your talents and your abilities to help us keep things going here. So it is your station, and this is your conversation on your station each and every weekday morning. We're also live on Facebook.com/CyberNews, YouTube.com/CyberNews. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow the channel and the page. Mainly comment, though, on the live. We'll do our best to get your comments read for those listening, and up on the screen for those who are watching, either live or on demand at Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, now X, twitter.com/CyberNews, and Sudbury.news, which is Sudbury's news aggregator. All local news coming into one convenient location for everything that you need for local news. You don't have to go around looking for it. It's all in one convenient location at Sudbury.news. And if you want to catch the show on demand, you just click on the Sudbury News Talk tab on the top right, and you'll be good to go. Now we're going to just dive into a little bit of weather. We got a lot of deep dives to do today because it's going to be a great conversation with our two guest hosts today, Nick and Billy, and all of your comments as well. We're going to have a great conversation, not only about local news, we're going to kind of sum up what's been going on locally in the news from City Hall, like traffic cameras, let's say. What's our take on that? The debt that we have in the city, the overtime, the amount of overtime that has been, way over budget from our city employees, the taking of the extra wages from the top management in our city, like what's going on with our city. And then we'll just basically talk about the same types of things with our federal government, what's going on there as well. And maybe it's just a government thing. Maybe just that's the way things are in the government. That'll be a bit of a deep dive today, right after our weather and news headlines, and a little bit of a chat with Nick and Billy and all y'all as soon as we come back right after this. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. Our Sudbury weather, as usual, brought to you by Duck check. Here you go. And Duck Check, our new partner here, sponsoring our weather. Make sure if you're interested and concerned about the quality of the air that you breathe, especially in your own home, Duck Check are the ones to call. They're trusted. They have the equipment to make sure that your ducts are totally clean and mold-free. Anything that's in your ducts, they'll get rid of it. They have top-of-the-line equipment and the know-how to get the job done. You just check out duckcheck.com or give them a call at 919-4848. Currently in the weather, it is 12 degrees. It's mainly sunny. Hey, it's mainly sunny. That's actually something to be celebrated. And it's going to be clearing this afternoon because this morning it's cloudy, but it's going to clear this afternoon and the wind will be gusting to 40 kilometers per hour. High will be 20 degrees, UV index 6 or high tonight. Clear, and the wind will be moderate, and the low will be 7. Saturday, tomorrow, sunny. Again, so Friday and Saturday, 2 sunny days in a row. High of 21 tomorrow, UV index 7 or high. Long range, Saturday, sunny 21. Sunday, cloudy 23. Mix of sun and cloud for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And 30 degrees for all days other than Wednesday. Pretty awesome weather, if you ask me, for the next foreseeable future. Anyways, here's your satellite from 6 a.m. this morning. So about an hour and a half ago, pretty up to date. Seeing some of that cloud activity going east and then all that clearing coming from the west. That's your Sudbury weather brought to you by Duck Check. Make sure to check them out at duckcheck.com. And if you're interested and you want to take their services because they're awesome, I know Steve personally came over and cleaned our ducts, did an amazing job. It's an interesting thing to see. It's a super powerful machine, just sucks everything out of your ducts to make sure you're cleaning, you have clean air inside your home. Let them know that we sent you and you'll get $100 off your duct cleaning. We'll be back with news headlines, a chat with Billy and Nick and all y'all, and we'll be discussing what's going on in the city and our country. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, and might as well bring both on. So first of all, and Nick, you haven't been on for a bit, but you're here today. How's the mic working?
Hello.
Hey, glad to have you here.
Me too. It's nice to be here, guys. I've missed ya. But I was traveling a little bit in Hawaii. Oh my gosh, my hair is a bit crazy, but people on the radio can't see my hair.
No, but they can on the live stream.
That's true. It's what happens in the girls.
For sure. And Billy, have you been to Hawaii lately, or?
I've never been.
Neither have I.
A couple tropical vacations when I was young, and can't remember what it's like.
I never thought I would have the opportunity, but it was a free incentive trip. It's an all expenses paid trip with Sensi, where you get points and you get to go on this trip. And once you get on these trips, because when you travel, like if you're like me, you're frugal. So I don't stay in the top hotels because they're really expensive. So I used to extend my trip after a Sensi trip, and I never do that anymore. I extend it before because you don't want to start your trip like so great and feeling like royalty, and then you're like literally staying in a dive hotel afterwards. It kind of ruins the whole trip. So we were spoiled. It was great. But it's nice to be home because lots of work has to be done at home. And if you go away, you're thinking about all the stuff
that needs to be done at home when you go home. Exactly. Yeah. It could be stressful for sure.
I like being home.
Now, Billy's a little bit like me. We don't have that problem because we're always at home.
Yeah.
This is true. Maybe you guys should join Sensi and earn the next trip with me.
What do you think, Billy? We can go in.
I don't know. We got a pretty tropical situation out here. There's a little sandy patch. Put my blanket down, lie in the sun. Wouldn't know the difference.
We brought the tropics home. We brought the tropics here, so we don't have to go to the tropics.
This is true.
Yeah, so we're grateful for that. Anyways, so yeah, lots going on here in our city, in our country, And I'm looking forward to this conversation with you guys this morning. Just want to check in with a few people who are coming on. Here's Nana. Good morning. She says young man, so she's trying to make me feel good, which I appreciate. Hope you and your listeners are enjoying this beautiful morning, and I think we are. I think all of us are. It's a great morning out there. And Judy, good morning to you. And Vin, morning. Hope you guys are having a great morning. Minik, good morning. Sudbury, sunshine emoji, rather appropriate today. Good morning, everyone from Barrie. That's Marianne, liked and shared as usual. And Jerome, good morning, dream team. Thank you very much, Jerome. Much appreciated. And Judy, good morning, Billy and Nick. And yes, and good morning, Patriots, to Brian, from Brian. Good morning to you, Brian. Hope you're having a great morning. And Belinda, always a positive statement each and every day. We really appreciate that. So good morning to you. The opposite of poverty is not wealth. The opposite of poverty is justice. Fear never builds the future, but hope does. It's time for justice. Now, there's a lot of truth in that. If you have true justice or true fairness, not the fairness that Chrystia Freeland talks about, taxing the middle class in the name of fairness, but true fairness where everybody has the ability to excel, like you give everybody the tools they need and then let them go and then let them build and then ask maybe a little bit of tax back for making the playing field just and true and fair for everybody in the true sense of fair.
Flat tax.
A thought tax.
Flat tax.
Oh, I thought you said a thought tax.
No, we got too many of those already.
Don't give them any ideas, Billy. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. A flat tax, yes. Oh, my. You know what? I never thought of that. That's the next one. They're already taxing our air, which we thought was never possible, right? And now the idea of taxing your thoughts, that's the next. I think that's the next place we're going to be going.
Technology's there.
I know. Okay, Pat, good morning to you. Sunshine emoji and a happy emoji. Thank you very much. Belinda, good morning. Billy and a Nick. Vin says, I'd like to see an audit on the purchase price, repairs, and hourly rate of the maintenance for the speed cameras. Cost versus safety benefit ratio. Thank you very much for that. I would like to see that too, Vin. Good morning, everyone. That's Monique here on, and another Monique says good morning to Nick and Billy with sunshine emoji from both Moniques. And Marianne, good morning, Nick and Billy. Yes, we got feeling the love for Nick and Billy this morning, as I knew we would be. Staycation for Brian. Multitasking this morning. This is Marianne putting all my plants in again. We were under tornado warnings yesterday, and the weather was pretty wicked. Yes, depending where you were. Sudbury didn't really get much. I don't know if you guys noticed anything, Nick and Billy. We seemed to just get rain for 10 minutes or something.
Someone in Caperall posted a video. They had a little like a
twister
tornado burst or like a wind burst, and a few shingles flew off her house or and then the frame of her window. So, and some branches fell on the ground. But where we are, it's pretty windy, but I didn't think it was windier.
No, it was, we get wind all the time, and it didn't seem any windier, like you said yesterday, than a lot of days. But maybe it depended. Like you said, Caperall's not that far away from where we are, and they had some activity, right? I heard up north too, in Timmins, they had some interesting weather yesterday, and also Marianne saying down in Barrie as well. So it seemed to just be spotty, I guess, depending on where you were in the general area, but scary nonetheless. Like, there was a lot of warnings. I know my daughter and my grandson and her significant other went down to Killarney, and we were worried about them yesterday. You know, they went there not knowing that there was a tornado warning, and then, you know, that's every parent's nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the movie Twister. You can just picture them driving in the truck and, I don't know, getting swept up or something. We don't get too many tornadoes here, thank goodness, but the odd time, you know, it happens. OMG, LOL, a thought tax. We would all be out of money. And it was a microburst, Marianne was saying, possibly in Capriel. So it rained sideways and the winds were bad. Lots of people out of power. That's true. We were supposed to have a meeting last night online, and a lot of the people who were from Bracebridge and Huntsville and Parry Sound area were not able to be on, so they were out of power. Blessings from Espanola. Good morning to you. Speaking of Bracebridge, Todd, my goodness, look at this. Port Sydney got hit pretty good with thunderstorms for a bit. Blew in the big lakes for a few hours. So yeah, you guys got hit pretty hard. A lot of people out of power in your neck of the woods. And good morning, Todd. Thanks for being on. Thanks for commenting as well. So Todd lives down south around Bracebridge, in the Bracebridge area. So interesting how serendipity sometimes works that way. Lots of stuff going on in our city, and I don't know if we've started the conversation or not about, first of all, the debt that the city is in. Were you guys aware of what kind of debt the city is in currently?
You
No.
you mentioned those numbers, I think, on the last show, but I forgot what they were. Sounded pretty substantial. Was it like 400,000?
So new arena.
400,000, 400 million.
I wish it was 400,000. New arena pushes Greater Sudbury debt to over $600 million.
Holy.
4 years ago, the city's debt stood at just $40 million.
No way.
Yeah. So that was the headline from Sudbury Star on April the 24th. So I guess it's old news already. But no, since the last time we had a conversation, we're just kind of summing up, the state of our city. And that's a huge thing. Like, and now interest rates have gone up significantly, right? Since that $40 million debt back in the day, it might have been at, I don't know, 2% interest maybe.
And we don't know, do we know where this money is? Like where
it's going?
Where this debt has come from? Like, is there a list of like why we are in so much debt?
I think they have some of it set aside, right? Like they haven't used it yet.
No, it's set aside, but it's still, we're paying interest on it as we've already borrowed it.
What is the cost, you figure, of servicing that? Do they have a number for that?
Yeah, they would have somewhat of an estimated number, but there's a lot of moving parts to this, right? Kevin Falk, I think you pronounce his name as, the city's GM of Corporate Services, told the Sudbury Star the city's outstanding debt is being paid off slowly and steadily. I don't know if that's true, if we went from 40 million to 600 million, but debt dating back to 2004 was issued at 377 million, and it's worth right now about 341 million. That's closer to what you'll see on the balance sheet for a 4-year end financials in 2023. That's our current debt that's outstanding.
Wow.
Once the city borrows the money approved as part of its 24-25 budget process, as well as upwards of 135 million required to fund the construction of the arena or the event center, the city would have amassed debt of $600 million. Again,
Wow.
right, with these high interest rates.
Yeah. Our whole society is kind of built on you go in debt and you're sort of, you look at the middle class, they go in debt, and they have the tax breaks. It's kind of sort of set up, I guess, that you have these, these means. If you ask billionaires, the secret to being a billionaire, a lot of them, you hear like little snippets of them saying, well, they got to be in debt. So I wonder if there's some methodology to that.
It's funny you say that, because I remember someone telling me, Anik, you want to be in debt. Like, I want to be a few $1 million in debt. And I'm like, that just doesn't sound right to me. But it's just like, they want equity. They want, what's the word I'm looking for?
Assets?
Assets. So that's sometimes debt, most
For sure.
cases.
It's like your house, right? It's a lot of debt because you're paying it off.
It's good debt.
But it's an asset too,
Yes.
right? So it's in the future going to be something that you can use as an investment kind of thing for the future. And we'll talk about that when we get to talking about our federal government, they're looking at taxing the middle class with the capital gains tax, and we'll get to that a little bit later. We're going to stick with the city still, but that's the idea. But being in debt, maybe for the wealthy, but for the common person, the idea of having credit cards running up, $30,000, $40,000 when you're only making, a common wage or whatever you don't kind of get that. You're like, what does that even mean? But when you start dealing with, like you said, like big assets and things like that, and you're in the game and you are a millionaire or a billionaire, things are done a little differently in that way.
It's like
I don't know.
a completely different matrix for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I could see some parallels. Like, don't people take out loans to top up their RRSP and stuff like that? Like that kind of mechanism,
Okay.
But I mean, the danger, like the whole thing, like once you're in debt, you kind of lose a certain amount of freedom because now, you're a little bit of a debt slave to some degree. And that was, I guess the thing that I remember a whole bunch of oligarchs got wiped out, and they just like went, and the thing is their balance sheet, they were like, sure, they had 2 billion, but they were 3 billion in debt, and somebody above them could call in their debts, and that would be the end of it. But it kind of keeps them under control in the sense that they're going to behave in a certain way, or we're going to pull the carpet out from under you.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so the city being this much in debt, like I don't think, balancing a budget is important to me when it comes to taxpayers' money because it's our money. So it's like the national debt. Now to go back to national again, most of our taxes are going to pay off the interest of the debt that our country is in, and so they need to keep taxing you in order just to pay the interest of the debt of the country. And that starts getting to be something that I'm not that in favor of, because the more debt you have, eventually it's a bubble and eventually it's going to burst. And eventually the people Billy's talking about that were in debt too come back and say, okay, well, enough's enough now. And you are at their disposal, and whatever they want you to do, you got to do it. And that's not good.
Yeah, that number is hard to find too. I like the estimates are about 60 billion a year. That basically just goes, sucked out of the economy.
In interest.
Just in interest, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you think about, you really sit down and think about how big a billion is, and 60 billion, that would definitely change our nation if we had that extra 60 billion every year, which we sort of used to when the Bank of Canada was the one who issued, we didn't go through the private central banks.
Isn't it? I find it kind of interesting because you see what they're doing. They're trying to just destroy our society or destroy the economics of it. And some people might not agree with that, but then it's going to be like, hey guys, we're going to be a whole world. We're going to all work together and we're going to eliminate that debt. So now everyone's going to have lower taxes. Right away, people would just agree to that. It sounds like a great system, So it's just interesting if I was thinking so far ahead that I would create a system that eventually is going to collapse and it's going to cost everybody money. But then you have an antidote to the problem already set up.
Yeah, exactly. So now the city, along with, contributing to the 600 million would be the misspending or the mismanagement of the city. We've had millions of dollars over budget in overtime. Just they released the numbers just recently, and you wonder, well, why? Like you're not able to manage the schedules of the employees enough to know when someone needs to work. Why do you need all this overtime?
You hear so many people looking for jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no need for overtime.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I've been in situations, I think most of the world there's a little bit of, what do you call it? I don't know, maybe gaming the system with the overtime. It's not quite as organic as it ought to be in a lot of cases, where it's like, You know what I'm saying? Do I have to go on?
You kind of
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're anything like me, your mind just went blank all of a sudden.
Well,
No?
yeah, it's
Okay.
I mean, it's
Well,
one of
'cause-
those things. I don't want to plead the fifth here, but
I feel like in the hospital environment, sometimes you can't just call in somebody. There's an emergency that happens, so that person is end up going to go into overtime. So I understand certain things like that, but on a month to month basis, when you're realizing that wow, we are spending this much money on overtime, maybe we need to look into hiring new employees so that we
Yeah.
could eliminate this. That hasn't happened in a whole year. Because how much money was that, Aaron?
600 million?
600 million. So if we're calculating at $30 an hour, that's a lot of hours.
Yeah, no, it was 600 million that the city's in debt, period. I forget. It was like, I forget the numbers, like 69 million or something like that in overtime when they only budgeted for like 3 million or something.
For the year?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, and again, I'm just throwing out these numbers. So I'm looking for,
Yes.
because a lot of times I
But
keep
it's
these
millions.
stories open. It's millions. It's tens of millions, let's say.
Yeah.
Tens of
So
millions.
right there,
Yeah.
whoever's the finance person of the city needs to be held accountable because he should be telling his managers, hey, like, why are we spending this much money on overtime? And if there's a problem, like, fix it. Like, you have managers for a reason.
So it's interesting you mentioned him. The CAO of the city, his name is Ed Archer. Well, he was found to kind of slip through some raises for himself and his friends in management, the non-unionized management of the city. And then there was a leak about it. And then councillors were like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like he kind of slipped through that they got 9 to 11% raises when, everyone else is kind of struggling. So that's because they gave him the authority to just go ahead and do that before, not realizing that he would take advantage of that authority.
Obviously.
And so here, just in Tuesday's meeting, it says, Council unanimous with withdrawing CAO's delegated authority.
Oh, so they took it away.
A unanimous vote of the City Council withdrew delegated authority from CAO Ed Archer during Tuesday's meeting. Related to this motion, City Council also unanimously agreed to ensure future changes to non-union salaries are made public during future open meetings. These unanimous decisions were made without the Mayor Paul Lefebvre, who was not present. He seems to be not present at a lot of these types of meetings when it has to do with the upper management of the city, and I'm wondering about that.
Well,
He doesn't want to
have.
What's that?
That sounds like a great mayor to have.
Well, it sounds like he's pretty cozy with the upper echelon of the city in terms of his relationship with them. And we've had Natalie Labby on, Mike Perrant formerly before that. And it seems to be there's this thing between city employees and the council. And the city employees stay there for their whole careers, and the councillors kind of come and go. So the city employees, if they can kind of behind the scenes, word things in documents and stuff that get things pushed through their agenda, city council, can't do much about it. They're less informed than they need to be because they're getting the information from the city employees. And that's why we needed the leak. We needed the leak for that because it's not all that transparent.
That guy should be fired. Like, how are you able to do that? Like, if you're going to take advantage of the people's money right away, there's a trust that's just got broken and he should just be fired.
Well, okay, and that's kind of jumping a bit, but to get to where you would want it to be, or what you just suggested, my suggestion is to have an audit of the city by a third-party, unbiased organization.
They'll never
So
do
that way, well, then that could lead to that if they uncovered other things. We only know about this one thing, and really they gave him the powers. So really he can say he wasn't doing anything wrong. You told me I can do whatever I want, so I did it. And okay, but now they're taking that power
And it
away.
would be interesting to see all these contracts that are putting out, how much of a conflict of interest it is. How many of his buddies are getting all these contracts and getting all of this money?
Yeah.
So
which we've seen in the federal world. Yeah, we've seen this
Yeah.
currently going on with all these contracts from our federal government to, they weren't even done properly. There was like 70% of the contracts that are given from the federal government aren't done through the processes that are there to make sure that these types of things aren't done. that you're alluding to, conflicts of interest. So anyways, yeah, so a few of the counselors weighing in here. For more information on that, just visit Sudbury.com, the stories to start your day there. But it looks like, again, there's certain counselors that I'm grateful for that are chiming in for us and for what people would, want them to do. So they're standing up for their constituents.
Like voting for your counselors, like across the board, like I was speaking to Americans, they were saying too, like locally, your vote really, really, really matters. Really matters.
More than nationally in a way. Like it's
more than nationally.
Yeah.
Like after that, like literally,
or provincially.
It's, they're probably elected. I mean, selected. Yeah.
Well, again, I'm iffy on Paul Lefebvre. He wasn't there in another meeting too that was similar to this. Natalie Labby pointed out the mayor wasn't there, and I'm wondering why. What was he sick, or what was the reason why he wasn't there?
Like
family issue.
Job? Like how much are we paying you to do your job, and what are you doing?
He's pretty selective of what meetings he's not there for, is what I'm saying. It looks like to me, it's political.
It's like he's not even trying anymore. Well, it seemed like he never even did try.
Well, again, right? I guess that's you could view it like that. To me, the former mayor didn't look like he was trying anymore. Like or any.
But he tried at the beginning.
Oh, this mayor currently?
No, the last mayor.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But the mayor currently, we know that he used to be a former Liberal MP, and so we know which political leaning he has and who his possible, relationships are with, and his loyalties are to. And it seems to be, if we look at the way that the spending is done on a federal level, and now the spending is done in our city, they're very similar, and that's just spend. And, what are we, like, how long are we going to be in debt? Any plan to get out of debt? Are there any, it just seems like a liberal, very far left kind of fiscal ideology that we're having in our community as well as in the country. And some people love it. Spend. It's the way we got to do it, right? And some people are of that mindset. Myself, I know you got to spend to make, but you also have to be realistic and fiscally responsible. So that's that. So now, in order to pay for this debt, I guess the city's looking at these speed cameras in order to they say it's for safety reasons, but there's nothing to compare it to. So they don't say, well, there's so many accidents on these roads that they got the cameras on. Mm-hmm. There's so many deaths. And so when we have the cameras for 6 months, which they are going to be in these different areas for 6 months at a time, we don't have anything to compare to say whether or not these areas were safer, because they're saying the only reason these cameras are there are for your safety, nothing else. Yeah. But they haven't released any of how unsafe figures these particular areas were to begin with. So how are we going to measure it? Right?
Yeah.
We can't measure
people
it.
calling in, right? Like
That's
it's the number one complaint, according to Mike Perron, is that people having trouble, walking their dogs, or the children feel, and some of it does get pretty quick. Like I've definitely noticed a speed up over the past couple of years. So there's probably some spots.
But say we're putting these in to appease the complaints of people. Then that's the reason for these cameras. That's the real reason, right? You're saying, Billy? We want to appease the people that's what are complaining. Yeah, it's not for safety. Like there's no stats
There's no stats. It's going on their perspective. Yeah,
that's it. The complainant's perspective. Now, someone else could say, well, no, that's just your view of how safe it is. Like my wife says she's not comfortable driving with me, although I feel safe driving. From her perspective, she doesn't feel safe, but that's a perspective. But my stats can speak for themselves. My record, it is what it is. So maybe we just won't go there. Not a good
Yeah.
analogy.
You might have to plead the fifth too.
Anyways, so
Anyway, I did have one story I want to go back to on the overtime thing, which I thought strikes to this core of what could be the general sort of energy of what's happening. And that is this apparently with the nurses and doctors, they have, what do you call those? Is it like agencies for when they go up north, they have these shortages. But anyway,
placement agencies?
yeah. So again, this was kind of like a third party that I heard it from, but worth kind of exploring. But there'd be something put out, a job, they would need a nurse for the following week or a doctor. And then as the days sort of tick down, the rates go up. It's basically, oh, no one took it yet. So, okay, we need to, they sort of like sweeten the pot. But I guess in gaming the system, the different parties or whatever apparently got to a point where they would take turns kind of waiting till it was like at a premium at the very last day. So the one seemingly good authority that I heard it from mentioned that there was actually like a $20,000 shift for a doctor, although it was like a 24-hour shift. But again, it's like, a system that's incredibly inefficient. And, whether that's 100% true, I think there's some truth to the element of like, that's how there's, it's not a full integrity in the system kind of thing.
For sure. No, that's
that-
not a good system.
No, that's not a good system. And you know what? Why wouldn't people take advantage of that? Like if they can create a loophole where they can make more money, where they're literally 5 doctors part of this chat, be like, okay, well, let's just all wait. So the third time it's your turn. Now we're getting paid $400 an hour or $500 an hour instead of $200 an hour. You're right. City members could be taking the same advantage. But again, doctors, I don't know who pays the hospitals, probably the government. It's a bit, I don't know. I guess it's a bit different, but like it's our city. It's probably not different. But all I'm saying is someone should be noticing this and seeing the problem. And aren't city employees like on a salary? So why are they getting overtime?
They're paid hourly.
Well, maybe we should look into getting salary employees. You don't get overtime when you're a salary.
They're unionized, heavily unionized. That would never happen.
Oh.
Yeah, when you're in a strong union, it's they're in the driver's seat.
All right.
With things like that. So yeah, I know there's ideas.
All right. Sorry, back to the other topic.
Yeah, no, it's all about the money. It's all about misspending. It's all about mismanagement, or the opposite, or managing properly, spending properly, and who's going to keep people accountable? That's the whole thing. Where's the accountability? Where does it start? Where does it end? Obviously, we see our mayor wasn't at this last meeting. He doesn't want to be looked at as accountable for his political positionings. He just wants to bow out. There was a debate now switching to national. What's going on, right? And the new capital gains tax that's being discussed now and wanting to be put into a bill. They're basically looking at taxing the middle class is what it is. So. The small businesses, doctors, so people that are self-employed, if you, let's say you are thinking of your future and you're not a teacher, you're not a city worker, you're not a government worker with huge pensions and whatever, and benefits. So you have to look after your own. So you have RSPs, you maybe buy some properties to invest in your future, some multi-unit properties that you might sell at a later point, and that's your retirement. A doctor who has many expenses, not only for their education, but they have an office, they have employees, they have overhead, lots of it. So they come out of a lot of debt from their school and they go right into being a business with a lot of overhead. A lot of people don't recognize that. Then they have to save for their own retirement. They don't have a benefits package. They're not working for someone. They're working for themselves. Well, the government now is saying they're making too much money. We need to tax that. So it's like taxing a teacher's pension after they've retired, right? They don't do that. So it just kind of kills the middle class in one shot. Just the magic wand, if you want to kill the middle class, That's what this income tax does. What the Liberals are coming out saying, no, that's not what they're going to do. They're just going to do it for the 0.3 whatever percent. So 99.87% of the middle class will not be affected, they say. So yesterday, I believe it was, or the day before in Parliament, Pierre Poilievre asking Chrystia Freeland, who is Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, will you put that in the bill then? That you won't tax the 99.87%? And guess what she said?
She didn't answer the question.
She didn't answer the question. That's exactly right, and Nick. Oh, no, you got this one. Sorry. Yeah, she didn't answer the question. She just came back with insults and whatever. And then eventually he kept just that, Pierre Poilievre is really good at this. He said, will the finance minister answer the question? Will she put it in the bill then, what she just said, that she will not tax the 99.87% of people? Because they want to make it look like they're out to just tax the rich. And the Conservatives are all about rich people and giving them breaks. And so Pierre Poilievre said, go ahead, tax the super rich. Yeah, let's put that in the bill then. It's only them and not the middle class. And she couldn't. He asked her 3 times, and then she refused to even answer. Other people in her party had to get up and answer for her. She ran out of, rebuttals. She couldn't answer it. So this is what's going on. They're after the middle class. They want to tax them. That's why I was terrified when we brought up that thought tax, because it was like, there's got to be somebody in the Liberal, government that's listening to this, or we'll get word of it and go, what? We never thought of that. That'll be the next one. Taxing your thoughts. But with Elon Musk's chip there, you never know. They'll be able to know what we're thinking. Certain thoughts will be taxed. Okay, so that's what's going on, and they're still debating it. So if anyone, wants to raise their voices at least and say at least put that in the bill, then put your money where their mouth. Stop lying. Stop lying. I hear so many lies from politicians. The easy way to do it
most
is
of them
actually,
they don't even answer the question. Like most of them aren't even necessarily lying. They just don't even answer the question anymore.
Yeah, well, that's along with it. They lie, and then when they're questioned, they don't answer the question because they're lying.
Yep.
When you lie and someone asks you a question, how hard is it to answer back? When you're a teenager and you're out and whatever, and you did something, your parents are like, where were you? It's like, okay, at a friend's. You try to go to your room.
Yesterday, Mom, I went to the store, and then I went to school, and I spoke to my friend, and I went for a walk. Where were you just now?
Yeah.
Well, last week,
So what happens in Parliament is like they're a bunch of teenagers kind of thing. And instead of answering these questions, which they don't, they just start raising their voice now. They start yelling. It's like, oh, you think yelling makes you sound more truthful or something? And insulting and yelling. It's crazy. It's a circus. But it's terrible. It's sad. It's sad. It shouldn't be like this at all. And this is our money being wasted, and just a bunch of people, acting like little children. And they need to answer questions. I think there needs to be a law put in place where you have to answer questions. Like you have to. There has to be some kind of formula. Your answer has to contain like 3 things or something, and it has to be there. It has some kind of facts have to be in your answers from questions. Yeah. Am I off on this or what?
Yeah, I would take the other approach where it's just, I think that has some potential dangers down the road, kind of, making more laws where really I think the whole name of the game is to get the public to be able to recognize and, either in a true democracy, they just remove them and get someone who does answer the question. That's...
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Get some people with integrity in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well for sure. That would be great.
You would have to, in our world, you'd have to create a policy. So a law that if you don't answer the question, we will find someone that's going to answer the question and you'll be kicked out. So
that's a good one.
Before that even gets created.
So Billy's saying that's dangerous still? Is that still kind of in the lines of dangers?
Yeah, sorry, what's your law?
No, I'm just saying to do that, you would, in our society, you would have to create a policy to do that.
instead of just voting, instead of waiting 4 years or 6 years or 8 years to vote them out, and Nick is saying, if you're not answering questions, then you lose your position. You're gone. And then people vote a new person in. So eventually that would kind of get things going faster. I like your idea, Nick. I think that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think there's stuff out there where, again, stuff that's supposed to be available to the public, you know, it's against the law to withhold that. So there should be out there, there should be a mechanism for people to see that.
But when the whole organization is corrupt, so there's a guy on Instagram and he's literally calling crime stoppers to tell them about what's in the news about the federal government doing treason, and it's like on the news, but nothing's really happening. And then they're like, oh, you have to call the RCMP for that. So he calls the RCMP, and the RCMP is like, we don't really know. So it's just like, you're right. A lot of the things they're doing is against the law, but nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah. So the laws exist. It's an enforcement problem, I guess.
But the people enforcing it are the problem, possibly.
Right. So maybe they're breaking the law. I guess that's always the problem with arresting the most powerful people, is that they're the most powerful people.
That's right. Exactly.
And they will kill your family.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they have the ability to, and that's been done before. Now, Miles going back, shedding light on the city's employees with their overtime. He said, I told you before, which he did, the city tries hiring more part-time, but no one really wants to work. It takes roughly 2 months for a full hire of a person. Given their scheduling nightmare, where people are often calling in sick, causes a lot of overtime. So he was just shedding some light on that from his, and he has an insider perspective too, so he's able to shed light on that. And I'm trying to go back to a comment I saw about the next thing I wanted to bring up, and it's right here. Belinda says, I watched a video clip of Jagmeet Singh being very concerned about MPs connected with treason. So this is a new thing too. And Nick, while you were away, there was a report that came out that said, for sure, MPs are involved in treasonous activities with foreign entities that are trying to get involved in our elections and meddling in our politics.
That's
so MPs were found to be doing this, for sure. Yes. So they don't want to release the names though, or whatever. Or there's a thing about why we can't really tell anyone who it is, you know, and so they still stay in Parliament and they're still doing their job, even though we know that they've been given confidential information to foreign entities and compromising Canada in many ways. So Jagmeet Singh there's this thing where if an MP reads a document or anyone reads the document, they then have a gag order. They can't talk about the document. So they're saying Pierre Poilievre needs to read this. So they want him to be gagged if he reads it, because he can be charged if he says something that he shouldn't based on what he read. But Elizabeth May read it and said, oh, nothing to see here. It's okay. Nothing really happened. But Jagmeet Singh read it and he's going, wait a minute here. There's some stuff, so they both had two opposite points of view on it, which is really interesting. So Belinda's saying she watched a clip of Jagmeet being very concerned about MPs connected with treason. He was able to read the unredacted report, which I was referring to. If you haven't watched this video, yes, you sent it to me earlier, and it sounds like reporters are actually really asking him hard questions. Like, it's interesting how news now, the reporters are kind of starting to, they don't have any, choice anymore, I think. It's so blatantly obvious. They actually have to start asking real questions. And it's, this is crazy, the point that our country's come to. There's major treason going on at the highest levels. But Billy's saying, right, what do you do to these people? They're at the highest levels of power. What are you going to do?
That's where Chomsky comes in, I think, with manufacturing consent, because you're going to have to get the consent of the governed to go after these people. And how do you do that? You have to show them all this stuff. So you have to keep, dangling this stuff in the media for a long time, so enough people get some eyes on it. Mm-hmm. You can't just sort of go and arrest it right away, because they'll have assets in the media that spin it in a certain way, and they'll feel sympathy for these people that got wrongly arrested. And so, but I mean, if it's shown for a long enough time that it sort of settles into the consciousness, what's going on, then it's a lot easier to use mechanisms to take them down.
Well, the United States isn't holding anything back with trying to, go after former president and everyone around him. A lot of his people are in jail or sentenced to go to jail. Those that were working in Trump's cabinet or whatever they call it down there, like working closely with him, his staffers. And now they want to put him in jail, right? So they're doing it there.
And again, a lot of people are seeing that. Yeah. And they're siding with Trump. They're going, yeah, this is a corrupt system, and the people that. But people, his numbers are going up, so it's.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. If you're wrongfully accused, like you said, the people will see that and they'll get behind it. But if you're properly accused, and that's evident too, then the people will applaud the idea that we're actually getting some type of justice, which was brought up by Belinda earlier in her positive, statement of the day.
Devil's in the details. You got to assess what this person is being charged with, and
Will we have accountability at the highest levels in this country, Nick?
No.
No, I meant to hit this one.
I think you hit the right one.
So Billy is saying we will have accountability at the highest levels in this country. How will that look like? How will that come to be, Billy? How will that unfold?
I think, like you said, you're starting to notice the media is starting to get a little, pick at them a little harder. It's going to be
okay.
We're going to hit this moment where, it's the emperor has no clothes moment, where it'll come out in a flashpoint incident, and everyone will be like, this has got to change.
I'm thinking, wow, we should be there already. But go ahead, Nick.
I just feel like, will we ever? No, I think there's like zero chance of that happening. Zero chance. It's kind of like, will we ever have healthy food to eat? With like literally they're trying to like poison us or harm us in every single direction. They own everything. They own all the news. They own all the food. They own everything. So for someone who's good, who would get to that point, they have corrupted that person. So it's almost impossible for anybody to come.
Now, the only pathway is if everybody knows about it. And for everyone to know about it, it's all got to come out. And when it all comes out, it seems like it's overwhelming. Like, what are they're just... Sorry, am I talking over you, Nick?
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm watching the old replay there. And it's like, it's got a time delay. It's
we have so many monitors open with things here. It throws us off. But unfortunately, that's all the time we got, guys. We got like a couple seconds left. So any last words? Last words, Nick?
Well, I just wonder, with the people watching, what do you think? Do you think there's a chance of, Billy's great outcome? I would love for that to happen, Billy. I just wonder what our viewers think. Do you think there's a
right on? Your mind's a powerful thing. Remember
that happening, or you think like me, there's no chance? It'd be interesting to see the comments.
Yeah, it's either one or the other, right? And Billy's very hopeful, and we're really grateful for Billy's outlook on the future, because we do have that hope too, that we would really want the right thing to happen in the face of how much wrong we see happening, and misjustice and overreach and just misuse of power in this country. People see it all the time, and we'd love to see a knight in shining armor or whatever come to the rescue, and maybe it's like Billy say, maybe it's a collective, maybe it's just all the people together.
The knights.
We're the knights.
I have my own point of views on our knight in shining armor. I do believe that there's a big shift coming, but it's not what people think. I don't think it's human.
Possibly, yeah. So Judy
Probably
agrees with you.
That are going to come and save the day.
Miles says, "Go Billy." Marianne, no chance. So a lot of great comments.
Someone said there's a big reckoning coming. I saw that comment. So there you go.
So let's keep the comments going on Facebook. If everybody wants to answer Nick's question, keep the conversation going because it will continue to live on Facebook on demand for comments. It'll also be on demand at YouTube and at twitter.com/Sudbury News and at Sudbury.news after the show. So we're thankful for Nick. Thanks for being with us today, Nick.
Thanks
Billy?
for having me.
Thanks for being on.
Nice to see you guys.
Stay tuned now.
Thanks, everyone.
And thanks, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for commenting. We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend, by the way. It's going to be sunny and beautiful. Enjoy it. We'll be back, God willing, same time, same place, Monday morning. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Ciao, everyone.
Bye.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.